Coming up, a nostalgic pocket check, the Hirozakuri in the first tool, and then we're going to talk about some nasty little knives. I'm Bob DeMarco. This is the Knife Junkie podcast.
Welcome to the Knife Junkie podcast, your weekly dose of knife news and information about knives and knife collecting. Here's your host, Bob the Knife Junkie DeMarco.
Welcome back to the show. A couple of my favorite comments from the last week's show. This one from Shane of Edgy American Blades. The Call of the Wild was the first book I read by choice. That's an important book in a man's life, I believe. The start of your literary journey. And I mentioned Jack London and White Fang, but yeah, Call of the Wild and all those great books. And now I can't even remember what the context was. But hey, when we're talking about knives, a lot of outdoor knives, you know, we were talking about Alaska, I think, because of northern knives. But anyway, thanks for the comment. I love Call of the Wild, and it's cool to see someone else who I just so happen to know is my same age feel the same way about that book. And I reread it recently, and it's just as good as it was, 40 years ago. My second was from Cadillac Forge. He says, my primary carry is the 001. He's talking about the TKell Agent 001, of course. Can't imagine ever replacing it. Well, Cadillac Forge, thank you so much for the comment. And thank you so much for the sentiment of that comment. Makes me feel great that people love the Agent 001. So keep using it. May it carry you through tough times, and may you use it in good health. All right, that said, let's get to a pocket check.
What's in his pocket? Let's find out. Here's the Knife Junkie with his pocket check of knives.
Okay, first up in my front right pocket is the nostalgic part. This is my Strider SMF, the larger of the two. SNG was the first one, then they came out with the SMF so many years ago. You can visually tell the difference from the 4 body screws on the SMF. The SNG, which is a 3.5-inch blade, this is 4, has 3 body screws. So if you're ever looking at pictures, you want to buy one, or you want to determine what you're looking at, that's a good way to do it. I love this thing. I got this from Zelric42, Terrell Todd of the Todd brothers, and he had it in immaculate shape and with a beautiful edge on it. And this is, and he passed it along to me. I bought it from him, and it's the only Strider I've had. Hasn't had too many of them, but this one does not have lock stick. It's so perfectly tuned. Everything about this is great. It's nice and thin, and it's got that contoured concealed carry, or a CC grip. The main or the, let's see, 3 general versions of this kind of knife. The Lego version, which has a really blocky handle. The double gunner grip, which has a thinner and contoured grip with really, really pocked like a golf ball for gription. And then this concealed carry, which is thin, smooth, and contoured. All right, there's your Strider lesson. I don't know. I saw a Edged Mindset video yesterday, and it got me back into Striders, and I think I want another one. But, who doesn't? All right, next up was the Jack Wolf Knives Gateway Barlow. This is the second run of the Gateway Barlow. This one in that beautiful Miami camo carbon. Camo carbon, if you don't know, is the company. That is the brand name, Camo Carbon. And Miami is the model, or the make, or the type, the color configuration. And of course, this reminds you maybe a little bit of Miami in the 80s with the teal and the pink and all of those sort of pastel-y colors. Anyway, beautiful build, beautiful designed Barlow from Ben Belton and Jack Wolf Knives. You have a really nice 14C28N clip point blade. Unlike the premium Jack Wolf Knives, this is a full flat grind as opposed to a full hollow grind. Still extremely sharp, very keen, slicey, awesome. Great action on this, by the way. Also, steel bolsters here with the triple flutes, triple fluted bolsters, let's say. And it is a Barlow, so that bolster covers 1/3 of the handle length. This one has a shield. Oftentimes, Barlows don't have shields because of the length of the bolster. This one does, and it looks quite handsome. Sort of a traditional shield. Great action. And when we talk about modern traditionals and modern slip joints, really what it comes down to me, is what stops the blade when it comes into the handle. This one is a more traditional slip joint because it stops you this right here, the ricasso, the length of this part right here stops against the spring inside. Modern slip joints use the same non-locking spring mechanism on the back, but what stops the blade when you fold it in is not the kick there, it's a stop pin on the inside. So more like a modern, modern style locking folder. So there's your lesson on slip joints. Anyway, as my daughter says, that's my TED Talk. So that's my TED Talk on slip joints. What a beautiful knife. I gotta say, the Gateway series is awesome. It's a way to get a beautiful Jack Wolf knife with, under $100, like $75 for that knife. And it has the same fit. I can't say it has the same finish because the premium Jack Wolf knives are finished, there's more finishing time that goes into them, but the fit here is perfect. Everything about this is super high standard. So I highly recommend, if you're into slip joints and a premium Jack Wolf is a little rich for your blood, go for the Gateway Barlow. You will be happy. And there are a variety of cover materials too. Next in my waistband at the 3 o'clock was the Mini Spike. I'm sorry, from Auxiliary Manufacturing, the Mini Spike. First of all, just in the sheath, great sheath, very discreet, easy to carry. And what is it? Yes, just like the name would suggest, it is a spike, but it's a really unique and beautiful spike. It's diamond shape at the tip. And then as it goes towards the ricasso, it graduates into a hexagon in cross section, just stout and nasty. Obviously, this has one job, and that's to penetrate. And every once in a while, I'll carry it. I got this at Blade Show 2 years ago for my wife. I thought I would give it to her for jogging. It ended up being a little bit too big. She goes for something much smaller. The Diagnostic, I believe she carries now, from Bastinelli. But so she didn't have a use for her spike, so I sort of made its way, matriculated into my collection. Okay, and then my emotional support knife today was the beautiful Boker Arbolito Bowie. Let me show you in the sheath. I love the sheath here. This is just an absolutely beautiful knife. I traded my buddy Strings for this. We had two very successful, excellent trades, and this was one of them. I really, really like this Bowie. It is N695 steel, which, according to Peterbilt Knife Guy, who I trust with the blade steels for sure, he's a great guy, great channel, and does a lot of really hard testing. He also fell in love with this knife. But I think he kind of fell out of love once he really used the steel. But for me, this is not a user. This is a fighter. You know what I'm saying? When I get called out on a duel and some of my other knives aren't around me, or maybe I don't want to sully those other knives on such a unworthy opponent, I'll bring this. But really, really nice. I love that thick guard. It's gorgeous. This one's built in Argentina. So Boker has, I guess, an Argentina plant, and they have some pretty cool knives coming out of there. Some of their bigger fixed blades, somewhat traditional, just from my own estimation, come out of that factory. All right, this is what I had on me today. You let me know what you had. My ESK was the Boker Arbolito Bowie in the sumptuous leather sheath here. Really awesome sheath. The Mini Spike from Auxiliary Manufacturing and Michael Jarvis. Keep an eye on him. He's a shooting star. Well, no, not the kind that burns out. I just mean like his rise has been fun to watch, and his designs and products are awesome. As well as you could say that about Ben Belkin. And I had my Strider here. So tell me what you were carrying. You carry multiple blades, I'm sure you do. Where do you carry them? And let me know what you had. It's always interesting to find that out. Okay, one thing that I wasn't carrying today, which is unusual for me, is a TKell knife. Actually, as I record this, I am carrying a TKell knife. I'm carrying the Nautilus because I have to pull the knives out of my pocket to do the show. So new knife go in the pocket on the belt. All this to say, I am a huge fan of TKell Knives. We made the Agent 001 together. We made it. He made it. I designed it, or we co-designed it. But they make incredible knives. You know Tim and the whole group there. But if you don't, they're really excellent people. Former Marine. They live in Georgia. It's a family business. They've expanded. They have incredible capacity, and they make knives. A lot of knives for military and self-defense. But a lot of people out in the action, or whatever you want to say, carry these kind of knives. Like this, for instance, is the MR1, the Marine Recon 1. And it was a knife made for a very specific purpose. It's they took the Night Stalker and ground the top instead of the bottom and made it a Pikal style knife. And that's the MR1. And it has been used in anger and is a successful design, I am told. Other knives, here's the Agent 001 in a whimsical finish. They do all sorts of cool stuff with lasers and whatnot. So this was a special Storm edition of the Agent 001, my design with TKell. You got that double edge, and this was inspired by by many different knives, but the one I was really thinking about was the Loveless sub-hilt fighter, or you can get a knife, something like this. This is the Frogman Tactical collaboration. TKell Knives does a lot of collaborations. This is the FMF, the Frogman Field Knife, and man, it is sweet. This one, of course, is an edition I don't use because it's got that special engraving and this very special proprietary G10. And TKell Knives, awesome. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that if you're watching this show, but if you do, we have an affiliate link with them. Go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/TKell, and it'll take you to the site. And if you buy a knife from them, you get 10% off. Just use Knife Junkie in the coupon code, 10% off your own TKell knife. And by the way, you can select from, I think they have well over 30 handle materials now at this point, now that they've taken on this really awesome battle lock grip, this FRN, these FRN handles. They have a lot of different options, but many different micartas, many different G10s. Some G10s you won't see anywhere, like this swirly red, white, and blue G10. So go check out TKell Knives. Go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/TKell and pick one up. Use Knife Junkie at purchase. I have to say that. I have to reiterate. All right. Next up, I want to tell you about what we have in the American Edge 250 this week. The American Edge 250 is a feature on Patreon that Jim has been working on that highlights, as we come to our 250th anniversary here in the United States, talking about different historical weapons and such. And this article is all about tomahawks, and it is super cool. It's longer than usual, goes pretty deep, and then it talks about modern tomahawks and RMJ and other modern examples of how this classic weapon is still valuable and relevant today. So really cool article. Check that out. That's what you get if you support us on Patreon. You go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/Patreon, or you scan the QR code that's going to pop up on your screen, and you can help support us there. Buy a whole year at once, you get 12% off. And then of course, if you're at a Gentleman Junkie level, which is where most people join, every third Thursday of the month, we do a giveaway, a special giveaway. It's a custom or very special knife that we give away to one of our patrons. So go check that out. Or you can join us right here on YouTube. Same thing. All right. Let us now get to Knife Life News.
Want to sell your custom knives online? With LaunchCart, you can easily create your own e-commerce store. no coding required. LaunchCard is designed for knife makers like you, with built-in tools to showcase your craftsmanship, manage orders, and grow your brand. It's fast, flexible, and even includes low-cost payment processing to help you keep more of your profits. Start your online knife store today at TheKnifeJunkie.com/launch and turn your passion into a business.
Okay, first up in nightlife news from Buck. Man, Buck is very prolific. So they have a Buck of the Month. Every month they come out with a special version of one of their designs. And this one is the 838 Deploy. That's an automatic out the side knife. Pretty cool looking knife. But this is a special Buck of the Month version. That's a 3 1/8 inch MagnaCut drop point blade with the Paul Boss heat treat. And Buck's got great heat treat and great geometry. And this is MagnaCut, so it can be presumed that that's a pretty excellent blade. Spear point shape, kind of a cool and modern grind to it with those sharp sort of delineating edges at the bevel. Outside auto, black Cerakote on the blade. The handle is aluminum and anodized with what they're calling Shadow Forest camo. And it is pretty cool looking in all the pictures I've seen of this. I followed the links, and this is a pretty cool looking one. This is available now. They only made 500 pieces as per the Buck of the Month arrangement, and this one is MSRP'd at $275. So go check that out. Next, this is definitely one I want to check out and would fit beautifully with today's theme of nasty little knives. And this is from Tops, who's very good at making nasty little knives. And they made the Upswarm. This is their new one, the Tops Upswarm. Now, this one is not a collaboration with a famous designer, and it's not a design by Leo Espinoza, their head, but this is from one of their knife sharpeners and one of their blade grinders, a gentleman named Eric Mooney. And of course, when they're grinding blades and sharpening blades, they test them on paper, and he wanted to create a knife that optimized the sort of slicing you get when you have a successful paper slice in a tactical self-defense package. And you really got that here. 1095 blade steel with that black traction coating, 3-inch upswept clip point blade. I mean, really upswept. Really a beautiful shape, man. I love the shape of this blade. With or without a sharpened swedge. Comes with that black traction coating, as I mentioned. Micarta scales in black with the really cool texturing. And this one, as you've seen now, at the pommel, has a sort of third of a ring. Or let's just, so we're not being nerds, call it half a ring. It's not a karambit, but it has the base of the karambit ring. So you can manipulate the blade in a lot of different ways, similar to having a ring without risking degloving your finger, which is such a horrible thought, pulling all the flesh off the bone, because your finger is trapped in a ring and you're in some sort of a tussle. So this, like I said, gives you some of that manipulation control without the full commitment of putting your finger through a ring. So I'm very excited about this. It looks very cool. Kydex sheath, 6.3 ounces, available now. MSRP on this is $195, and I saw it's discounted right now, and I think that might be because it just dropped, and they're very excited and pumping it. All right, third is a knife that insists upon itself, to quote Peter Griffin. This is the Wee Knife Inceptus, designed by Robert Saniscalchi, and we've seen a bunch of his designs on the show over the years. Very talented designer. This one reminds me a little bit of a Gus Cicchini design. This is a 3.57 inch modified Wharncliffe or reverse Tonto, modified reverse. Who knows what this blade shape is? A very interesting blade shape at that, I would say. I would say maybe too many notes on the blade, but hey, now I'm editorializing. M390 blade steel, and it's got two distinct cutting edges. The downward angled and closer to the fingers is the shorter of the two. and then you have that long forward edge. So it's kind of a cool, the more I look at it, the more I like it. Let me put it that way. Front flipper or opening the whole trapezoid thing. Handle tapers at the butt end, but it has a really cool sort of angular shape. And we know by now that angular shapes can be very comfortable. It doesn't have to have round choils everywhere to be super ergonomic. This one has aluminum foil carbon fiber inlays. It's 4 ounces and available soon for MSRP of $385. That's the Wee Knife Inceptus. All right, last up, one that I'm really happy to hear about because I love this knife. This is the Yonder from Civivi. This, to me, is what the Elementum is to everyone else from Civivi. I think this is such a great little knife. Well, it's not so little anymore because they're coming out with the Civivi Over Yonder. Great name. And it's a little bit bigger. But this is designed by Zach Whitmore. And I first became aware of Zach, as probably many of you, when he was the media guy for Blade HQ. And then he left Blade HQ and he has his channel, Zach in the Wild. And interesting guy, a very, very magnanimous kind of guy, and really knows knives and designed just a super cool knife. So the Over Yonder is this knife, but blown up a little bit. 3.35 inches of 14C28N. Spay blade. It's a spay blade. Let's call it that instead of a bellied reverse tanto or BRT. It's got a thumb stud, very smooth bearing action, I can attest to. And of course, it's got their crossbar lock, which is just flawless and super smooth. And you just pull it back and it just drops so quickly that it comes right home. So very, very nice knife. Anyway, a coffin-shaped handle, really cool and contoured in cross-section. This one comes in G10 or in micarta, as you see on screen here, 2.79 ounces. It'll be available at the end of March 2026 for $74. I think I might get this. Even though I don't need Civivis, I don't even end up really carrying them. I just like them. You know how like you might collect Star Wars action figures? This is like my Star Wars action figure. Okay. That is it for the state of the collection. Still to come on the Knife Junkie podcast, we're going to take a look at some nasty little knives. We're going to take a look at a cool little device I got. It's not a knife, but in the state of the collection. But first, let's learn us some stuff in the first tool.
You're listening to the Knife Junkie podcast. Here's some cool knife history with the Knife Junkie's The First Tool.
Some blades announce themselves with drama. Hirozakuri doesn't. It whispers. In Japanese sword terminology, Hira-Zukuri means a blade made without a shinogi ridge, a flatter, cleaner form, most often associated with the tanto, the Japanese dagger. To modern eyes, it can look almost stripped down and severe, but that simplicity is exactly what makes it so memorable and so effective. There are no extras, just steel flowing in one smooth direct plane towards the tip and towards the edge. It's pure intention. And that's what makes the Hirozakuri so fascinating for knife lovers. It isn't one famous knife, but a whole way of thinking about a knife. Some examples have only the slightest curve. Others have that subtle inward curve known as uchi-zori. And even with that plain flat profile, these blades were anything but boring. British Museum descriptions of Hirozakuri tanto mention dragon carvings, grooves, and Japanese characters cut into the steel. So the shape may be simple, but the finished knife could still carry religion, status, symbolism, and pure artistic showmanship. It also shows up in some of the most intriguing corners of Japanese blade history. One British Museum catalog entry describes a broad Hirozakuri tanto whose shape seems to echo the famous Hocho Masumune, a 14th century masterpiece so distinctive that later blades were judged against it, kind of like our modern day Chris Reeve knife Savenza. Another museum example identifies a stout Hirozakuri dagger as a Yoroi Doshi, literally an armor piercer. That tells you everything about the range of this form. Hirozakuri could be elegant enough to inspire collectors and legends, yet stout and purposeful enough to earn its reputation. What makes Hirozakuri endure is that it gets to the heart of what a knife really is, especially a combative one. Nothing extra, just edge, point, form, and purpose distilled to its essence. Hirozakuri is proof that simplicity in the world of knives can be its own kind of masterpiece. Now I have a CRKT Hira-Zukuri designed by James Williams, and I love that. Now I've had that and a number of knives like Hisatsu for years, and I know that pronouncing Japanese is supposed to be easy. You just pronounce every letter, basically, but I must apologize for my atrocious pronunciation. All right. If you like this kind of talk, if you like talking about knives ad nauseum, if you like to steer the knife conversation, join us on Thursday Night Knives. We have a super active audience and a great conversation. I mean, Jim is back behind the scenes feeding me comments. I respond to as many comments as I possibly can. And what that ends up being is a conversation. It's great. We all have a lot of fun. Come join us on Thursday Night Knives. That's on Thursday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. All right, let's get to the state of the collection.
Why pay full price for gas and food? With the Upside app, you don't have to. Just open Upside, find nearby offers, and earn cash back when you buy gas or eat out. Pay like normal and get real money back in the app. No coupons, no hassle. Just easy savings on things you already buy. Download Upside today and start putting money back in your pocket. Learn more at TheKnifeJunkie.com/saveongas.
So I've been on this little kick. I know we've talked about a lot about it on Thursday Night Knives, of making little survival kits, little fire kits, so that someday when I find the time to go camping, or if the bottom falls out and we're camping down the street because the apocalypse has happened, I want to have a lot of different ways to start fires and all sorts of different situations. And I saw this one on YouTube and couldn't resist. So I got one, and here it is. It's a little a tinder maker from Smith's. Smith's, they do a lot of this kind of camping stuff. But it's a little grater, like this is what I use for Parmesan, basically, except in a smaller version here. Let me open this up. So this opens up this box, and here you have grating material here on the steel, very sharp and triangular. And that really digs into wood. The whole point of this is you can take wood, even wet wood, that's say dry in the middle, and grate it and shave it and create a little box full of shavings like this. Here's a piece of fat wood. Now, I don't think I would use, you could use fat wood. Fat wood already kind of does the job for you. That you do that, and then you have your little dust in there. But you would do it a lot more and fill this whole thing up with wood. Say you're out there, it's raining, and you need some tinder to start a fire, and you don't have one of those fire starters that works in the wet. Well, you would take this, find a stick, and grate down to the dry center, and then you use this great ferro rod. Actually, this little ferro rod is excellent. I'm gonna throw a spark here. Oh, geez. Maybe a little too excellent. I didn't realize, and I shot it at my computer. That was smart. But this thing is pretty awesome, and I'm excited to put it in my in the fire kit that I'm building right here, my Max Edition, full of fire making stuff. And then I'll go out into the backyard in suburbia here, start the fire pit. But if I ever need something like this, I like knowing I have it, and I like these kind of gizmos and gadgets. It's not a knife, but it's got a bunch of little knives on it. See? All right. That's it for this week for the state of the collection. I got a couple of things coming in this coming week that I can't wait to show off. So there you have it. All right, we're going to get to nasty little knives, but first check this one out. This is the kind of justification I like. I don't hoard. I curate knives. That's right, curate. You just throw a word in there where people are like, if they're not, I went to art school and I've been to a million museums. I'm familiar with curate. But if you don't go to museums, you like, yeah, I'm not cheesy. Like, that's a fancy word. What do you mean? I curate knives. Yes, I decide what belongs together. I acquire them. I put them together, and I create a context for them to exist as one. I curate knives. You talk like that about your knife collection, people will zone out and they'll start thinking about something else, and the grotesque amount of knives that you've collected will no longer, will no longer be in their brain. So check this out. Go to TheKnifeJunkie.com/shop. Check out the many pages of merch we have. Jim is a machine designing these super awesome logos and knife mottos and t-shirt designs to attract like-minded individuals out there in public. They might see your tote bag and say, hey man, you and me, we got to talk. All right. Let's get to nasty little knives. These are all fixed blade knives. They're all little, and they're not all of my little knives, but this is pretty much it. Like, they start getting larger and then they're out of the category. But these are nasty little knives that are just made for getting yourself out of sticky situations. And of course, we're talking about self-defense. All right, first one is a classic of the genre, and that is the clinch pick. The ShivWorks clinch pick. Let me show you first in sheath. Super discreet little sheath. This was designed by Craig Douglas. He goes by South Narc on Instagram, and he's a former undercover agent of law enforcement sorts who did a lot of undercover drug deal stuff when busting guys, and learned that a handy little Pikal style knife, though this wasn't intended as a Pikal knife necessarily, it's generally not. It was intended to be used like this in a forward grip, but he found that when doing drug deals in cars, often there was a struggle across the seats. But of course, you're both faced in the same direction, so it makes for a super awkward fight. The guy and this thing is poised in the waistline, right behind your belt. You can grab it and pull it out and then use it like this. If someone's reaching across the car and grabbing you, if you can get to your belt and pull this, then you can just pull this up and you can get his arm and pull, and you're just doing all sorts of mayhem with this. But it's also small enough, and that egg-shaped handle melts in the hand, so there's nothing to lever this out. There's no puño extending from the bottom of your hand that might be used to lever it out of your hand. It's a really hard knife to deal with. And they even make this in double edge, which sounds awesome to me. And you can just get out of just don't do drug deals. That's all. But in any case, you might need this knife anyway. This one is wearing a special edge. That bevel and edge were redone for me by Dirk Pinkerton. And I say redone by me. I bought this from Dirk in a package of knives he was getting rid of. And before he sent it, he was kind of feeling the edge, and he was like, this is awfully oblique and not very sharp. Let me just put a sweet edge on this for Bob. And I really, really appreciate it. Don't know the steel. I think it's 8CR. It's foreign made. But go check out ShivWorks. They got some cool stuff and some other sort of Pikal style knives. And a great sheath on this one. I got to be careful putting these nasty little knives back in their sheath. All right, next up is one that I've been carrying quite a bit since I bought it, and it just sits quietly, discreetly on the belt. Though that purple, I'll probably swap that out for black. It'll be even more discreet. But yeah, it just sits on my belt next to my buckle. Like I said, quietly, it goes unnoticed, but it's a nasty little push dagger. This is the Urban Edge from Cold Steel, one of their many push daggers with that T-shaped handle. And really what that does is it puts the power of the punch behind your cuts, behind your thrusts, because that T-shaped handle butts up against your palm, and then that goes up into your forearm, and it really just locks in and is pretty brutal. And it's a great sort of knife for people who don't have experience with knives, but you still want the effectiveness of a blade. These were very, very popular among riverboat gamblers and brigands of the early frontier in the United States. But this type of design goes way back to like India with the what was it called? You all can help me. Actually, we'll do a first tool about this. But the famous in the Qatar. Sorry, guys, just having a senior moment there. But this sort of effectiveness, this sort of punch dagger, goes way back to the Qatar of India, and I'm sure it goes even further back. But I love the effectiveness of it. I love the discreetness and smallness and size, I guess I should say, of this little 2-inch blade. Chisel ground flat on one side, and then steeply ground on this side. Now, though the edges are oblique, you can still slash with them and do incredible damage. So a really, really awesome, inexpensive knife. I got this one at the Willie Knife Shop in Delaware. All right, next one. This is a very famous one over the last 5 years in the genre. And it was designed by Ed Calderon, who's got his fingers on a lot of designs these days, and they're all really nice and really effective. This is the Elvia from Copus Designs. By the way, as I record this in 2026, March of 2026, they just did a new drop of Elvias, which are sold exclusively at Knives Ship Free, and they have changed. They have a number of variations on the blade with different, the same cutting edge, but different variations on the spine with like thumb swales and stuff. But anyway, this is the knife, and it's based on the fruit knife that Ed Calderon's mother defended their family with in Mexico when he was a kid, defended them from a mugging. It was a little knife that she carried around all over the place, all the time, to do work and to cut fruit and vegetables. But she used it to defend the family, and it left an impression on Ed Calderon. And when he became a Mexican drug interdiction officer on the Mexican side of the border, he remembered that knife and carried one with him. And then later on started espousing the use of knives with the tip down and the edge in for self-defense and for those moments when you're flooded with caveman energy and adrenaline and you need to get out of a situation. And so started designing knives like this, which were he did collaborations with other companies to get them made. Emerson Knives, Turner CNC, you name it. He's done a number of collaborations. Well, I guess I shouldn't say you name it. He hasn't done one with Victorinox, but I could see him doing one with Mora if Mora would have him, because he's talked about what great self-defense knives those are. This one, of course, you're seeing that beautiful Ito wrap. This was done by Josh Mason of Bright for War Knives, also a maker of incredible small, nasty little knives. I have one I couldn't put in this list and didn't quite make it. Not small enough, I guess. But this is 154 cm injection molded. And then one last detail about this knife is sort of elemental to this design is that little hook shape on the sheath. Now, I have put an ulti clip on it, but without that, you could drop this knife, and also without the wrap, which thickens it up, you could drop this knife in its virginal form in your pocket. It will go pretty much unnoticed, and then when you need it, you can grab the handle, tug it out of your pocket, hook the sheath on the inside of your pocket on the seam, and then tug the knife free. The sheath drops theoretically into your pocket, though oftentimes when I've tried this, it flips and flies across the room. But the sheath drops and stays in your pocket. The knife is in your hand, and it hasn't been seen. You don't see any clips or anything. So I love this style of knife, and I've made my own using Victorinox fruit knives and bending the handle with a little bit of heat. That's a great way of doing it. And a great little self-defense knife. This next one is nasty. It's a nasty little thing that I got as an impulse buy. It was an impulse product at a table at Blade Show a few years ago of a company called Fudo Forge. And Fudo Forge makes unbelievably beautiful kitchen knives. but they had a little basket of these little scalpels, no doubt made from, spare pieces of steel, scrap pieces of steel. And it's really nice, super sharp, thin, small. I made a little Kydex sheath for it with that little hook, using the same concept as the Elvia I was just showing. Wrapped it in jute cord. I'm a huge fan of jute cord if you're new to the show. And I love how that sits in the hand, but it's just a wicked little thin knife. You just drop it in your pocket. It's there. It does. It's long enough that it remains oriented north to south in your pocket without getting all squirrely and sideways. It's really sharp. It's a very useful little knife. Now, this is not one you can run out and buy, but this type of knife, I really like the scalpel type of knife. We were talking about Tops before. They make something called the street scalpel, and other companies make scalpeline style knives, and I just love them. And this Fudo Forge one, is great because it's so thin, so light, and undetectable. But if you needed it in a pinch, it would just be, it'd be Johnny on the spot. And there's my little sheath for it. All right, make sure it's going in there properly. I don't want to dull the edge. Okay, next up is from Jack Billings and Shed Knives. And Shed Knives makes a lot of really big, robust outdoors knives, but they make this one here, little knife. And I think it's a nasty little knife. First of all, it's the skur, and this is the skeletonized skur, skeletal skur, we'll call it. Because ordinarily it comes with a handle. You can get it like this, though, and I like it like this. And I do intend to wrap that handle with jute, but it will make it a little fatter. And this is one of those knives I like to just drop in the pocket. The kind of broad footprint of the sheath keeps it kind of centered in the pocket and keeps it kind of right where it needs to be. And then if you grab it, you just pull it right out. But let me show you the knife itself. So it's got this deep hollow grind. It's a fat knife, but it's got a deep hollow grind and a super serious edge that is totally curved. Now, to me, this is nasty because it can be concealed easily, and you can just kind of put your finger on that. I mean, you could easily hide this knife, and then you have this little sickle of, I guess that's not a sickle. What would you call that? It's like a pendulum blade or an ulu blade at the tip of your forefinger. And, but in the meantime, it makes for a great, great utility knife. It's got great jimping on it, seats itself very well in the hand. It's a 3-finger knife, but you've got this back area that your pinky can brace against. You can get a nice 4-finger grip on this knife in the standard grip, but I really like it, like I said, with the finger extended. Great little utility knife too, though. That's the skur. And I think that's how it's intended. It's intended to be a utility knife that hangs around the neck. But all right, next up, this one is a custom version of this knife. This is the Bastinelli Anomaly. And this is one of 4 knives from this series of knives that Bastien co-designed with Doug Markida. And this one is the Pikal one, the Anomaly. And this one has a nasty, nasty little hooked blade. Same concept, same Pikal style concept. You are using the knife like a cat uses its claws. We hear oftentimes the karambit equated to a cat's claw, but that goes in the opposite direction. This is going like a cat's claw, and it's very intuitive and very easy. This one, of course, has a ring, and that ring is nicely placed so that I can make a fist without it hurting my fingers or making my fist weird. It's custom because he did this wrap on that. So you can get Bastinelli knives made by Fox Knives, just sold straight from Fox or Bastinelli, or you can reach out to Bastinelli and get customized versions with beautiful wraps and serrations and different sort of features. This would be a cool one with a couple, 2-3 serrations on it. I don't think we see enough serrations on hawkbill blades, but really, really nice. Love this thing. I just recently started carrying this one again because I finally came up with the best way to mount it on my belt. I've had every single type of clip that would fit on this, and nothing ever worked. And then I just went to plain old paracord, and now it sits on the belt perfectly. When I say the others didn't work, it's not they didn't work, but they would hang on the belt like this. This is the perfect way to get this to stand up with the blade parallel to my belt. Okay, TMI. Next up is from TKell Knives. You know they weren't going to get out of this list. This is the FLN, designed by Jared Neve of Neve's Knives. And man, he's made some pretty cool designs in the past. I'm or currently too, folders. I'm very fond of this design, and the newer version is cool too. And it solves some of the sheathing issues that just sort of happen with karambits. Karambits can be difficult with sheaths because of the curve and then the overall curve. But leave it to Tim Kell to figure out the best way to sheathe something, and he did. There's Jared's logo here. This is ADCRV2, I believe, USA made as usual, and just an extremely wicked and effective karambit. You've got a deep slashing curved blade, but you also have a forward pointing point, which makes every punch and every slash more just deeper. This one, of course, has that layered G10, black and purple. Really, really nice. TKell has a number of nasty little knives. I don't have too many of the super small ones. The Piranha is a great one. The one that he did with the Warncliffe, based on the Piranha platform that he did with Melissa Backdoors or Backwoods, is super, super just nasty. Warncliffe, but also really, really utilitarian, super awesome. So here is the FLN from TKell Knives. Great karambit. Next one is from 310 Forge. That's Mike Cahill out of Texas. I met him first at the Texas Custom Knife Show. Very cool guy. He's a minister and a knife maker and a young man and a pipe smoker. He's the guy who got me to smoke pipes. Thanks for the tobacco habit. I saw him smoking pipes while he was forging at that show, and I was like, I should smoke a pipe. And I started. Anyway, this one is his Scalper. He's got a lot of really cool American heritage style knives, beautiful Bowies, lots of big forge stuff, but he makes these little knives too. This is the Scalper, and it is a nasty 1/16 of an inch thick 1095 blade with a Scandi grind and a micro bevel. It does have a micro bevel, but it's just a wicked little knife. It is such a little slicer. And let me get the leather bits off of this blade real quick. It's a super slicer, extremely pokey, but it also maintains the full thickness of the blade up to the tip. So it's still a very stout knife. Handle wise, it's 3 to 4 fingers. It depends on how far you ride up. But the important thing is it has that bulbous pommel, like the clinch pick, and another one that we're going to see here in a minute that just nestles in the hand. So it's very hard to disarm, and just a very sharp and brutally effective little knife. Of course, it's also a charming little utility knife in the tradition of frontier style knives. I can't remember what this wood was. I'm tempted to say rosewood because it's red, but I don't think it was rosewood. I think it was something else. But Mike Cahill, check out 310 Forge. He's a stand-up guy and makes beautiful, beautiful knives. And this one in reverse grip, also super menacing. You can hold it in that Pikal, also just nasty, but also a beautiful sheath. So this is this sheath. I love this style. I just had that 1931 Leatherworks sheath made for my Junkie from Edgy American with the same style. You can carry it canted on the belt, anywhere on the belt, in either orientation. So I love it. And then he used sinew to sew this up. So really frontiersy, and I love it. This, it's like the frontier version of all these nasty little modern knives. Next up is from Auxiliary Manufacturing. Also, oh wow, I didn't realize that. Oh no, he was earlier in the show. Sorry. So this is Auxiliary Manufacturing. This is his broadhead, one of two broadheads in this list. Or knives called broadhead. A super stout little chisel ground, last ditch get off me device, but also just charming and beautiful. I got this one for my wife, also for running, and I don't know, didn't take to it. She likes the Bastinelli Diagnostic is what floats her boat for running. I've gotten her a bunch of knives for running, but that's the one that sticks. And then somehow this sort of ended up back in my drawer. I got to give it back to her one of these days. I put an ulti clip on there so it could ride in her shorts and she could just tug it. But she found that when she tried to tug it, it pulled her shorts way up. So I don't know, you got to work on the retention issue, but super acute and nasty and pointy. But that tip coming to a triangle, a little bit of rust on there, a little bit of corrosion. That tip coming to a triangle is just ultra durable. So it's nice and pointy, comes to an acute point, but it's going to go through some really hard stuff, and it's not going to bend. So great little punch dagger. This one has a material similar to Fordite. You know what Fordite is? Or that might actually be Fordite. I don't know. But Fordite is a material that is created where they take the paint, the layers of paint that has dried on the floors of paint rooms at car plants, and they turn it into handle material. And this is very similar. And I don't remember if that is Fordite. I'll have to ask Michael Jarvis. All right, that is the broadhead from Auxiliary Manufacturing. Next one is from a prolific maker, again, of nasty little devices, and it's Station 9. They have a lot of big knives, but they also have a lot of cool little things like this. And this is the SOE lapel dagger, their number 4, their model number 4. Of course, it is a modern day take on, or modern day, basically, build of the old SOE daggers, lapel daggers, little hidden daggers that spies would have hidden sewn into their clothes that they could pull in a moment of duress and put to use. This one is super grippy. You see those lines there? That's jimping straight across both sides, and it acts as a wonderful little grip. The summer I got this, we had a watermelon that someone brought over, and no one ate it, and it just sat there. And I ended up throwing it out, which I hate throwing away food. But before I did a number on it with this. And that's before I even added this little cord. Now, the cord is great because you can put your fingers through it and really get some great grip and flip it to another or hide it. Let's see. How did I used to do this a lot. Used to carry this one. Hide it like this on the finger and then bring it to bear and, that kind of thing. I don't know. It's super sharp and very pointy, so I don't mess around with it too much like that. But here it is. This is the Station 9 number 4 SOE lapel dagger. And there are a number of custom makers who make these too, if you're interested, because I think Station 9 has discontinued this. Next one is from a patron of mine, actually. And he sent me a couple of his knives last year, and they're really cool. This one is, his company is called Failed Negotiation Knives. This is from Jeff Wright. And this right here is an ambidextrous sheath held together with shot cord. And then it's got this discreet carry clip on it. But here is the knife. And you can get this in a much smaller and more discreet sheath too, which he also sent. So if you want to drop it to the bottom of your pocket, but just a nasty little Pikal, very small, very thin, very light, and just built to help you get out of a bad situation. This is a distance creator. Imagine, a scenario where someone is, grappling you or on you too close, and you have this, and you keep your fist closed around it. you can, you might be able to extract yourself from that situation. And I love the angle of the blade to the handle. It really accentuates a back fist without having to cant your fist much to land that point. Failed Negotiation Knives. He's got a number of other designs that are pretty cool. But this one is my favorite. And I will put it back in this ambidextrous pocket sheath, and then it very, very subtly just rests in the pocket. Great knife. Next one here is another one with an egg-shaped handle. This is the Gunfighter Customs Gunfighter. I'm a very big fan of Gunfighter knives, Gunfighter Customs. Jared Franklin of Gunfighter Customs makes knives to your specs or co-designs knives with you, and also has a number of outstanding models that they keep making. And this one is designed by Michael Elliott. Michael Elliott, a frequent, also a patron here and a frequent contributor to Thursday Night Knives. Michael Elliott is a phenom with the Filipino martial arts, and he designed this inspired by the clinch pick, the first one I showed here, except he wanted a place to put the thumb. Well, he found two places to put the thumb, right here, and you have it, this double-edged blade in a foil grip or a saber grip, and then come up here and you have it in a Filipino grip for closer cutting and pressure cutting. And I'm going to show it next to the clinch pick just so you get an idea of the similarities, but also the departures and improvements. And I say, yes, I think it's an improvement. Though I know that this was built for a very specific sort of thing, but I like the versatility of the Gunfighter Customs. Wrong way, like a first day knife fan. Made in 2025. Here it is. Let me show it up close with that micarta. Just gorgeous. I love this knife. Carries really nicely an appendix also because of that curved handle. All right, three more. This one is from Al Salviti and Regiment Blades. This is the low vis. And this one really carries nicely appendix also, kind of like a pistol, but it curves right at the belt line. So it's very easy to carry appendix without having it poke. But when you draw it, you have this awesome punch dagger. This is also a punch dagger, though it has the blade at the top rather than at the center of the fist. Al Salviti, the designer of this knife, and he designed this knife. The Colonel knife kind of came after it, inspired by this design. But Al Salviti is a power puncher and a martial artist, and he teaches people how to hit really, really hard. And he designed this knife with that in mind. But can be easily carried in reverse grip as well. Actually, I like to put 2 fingers in there. But it's easy to change grips, and you can slash with it as well as thrust and punch. And also that swedge on top is thin enough that with a little bit of skill and a grinder, you could sharpen that top. I have a little bit of both, a cheap grinder and not very much skill, so I'm not gonna attempt it. But here is the sheath, a nice plastic sheath, works great, and that's the full package. So you can have your finger through that ring and have it in your hand, seated 100% before it's even drawn out. And that's unique for a fixed blade knife. Penultimate here is from our friends at DC Blades and Tops. What a great collaboration. Those two coming together, and they made this really cool knife, the Ephira. And yeah, it looks wicked. It looks nasty. It looks like something almost from a comic book. It's so, or like Riddick or something. It's so unique looking, but it's actually a very practical knife design. It puts the blade, puts the main business edge of the blade, the long cutting edge, below the knuckles, so you can use it to rock on surfaces to cut. Believe it or not, this would make a pretty decent camp cook knife. And all you campers are like, what do you know? You don't know what you're talking about. What I mean is, in a pinch, you could cut food up with this pretty effectively, even though it doesn't look like that kind of a thing. It really looks like a self-defense knife, which is what it is. I mean, when you hold it in reverse like this, you've got that point, a secondary sort of tanto point there. And then you have this straight edge that leads up to it and the curved edge that leads away from it, perfectly placed also for back, for that reverse thrust or stab, if you will. Really nice micarta on 1095 with the traction coating, and the maroon liners are so beautiful. I just love this knife. And then you've got this up here, the jimping for the thumb. I've just started carrying this. You know, I got this almost a year ago at Blade Show last year, and it's been sort of just living in the safe or in the tool chest. But I recently rediscovered it, and I really like it. Carries nicely, scout style up front with this spring clip from Tops. Okay, last up from my friend Dirk Pinkerton. This is the nasty little broadhead. This is the second broadhead in the collection here. This one from Dirk Pinkerton. This knife can be used in so many different ways. It is a wickedly sharp double edge. I think it's Magna Cut. Yes, this is Magna Cut. And GL Hansen and Sons G Carta on the handle. Perfectly beveled quad edge, or quad bevels and double edge. Just a very versatile self-defense punch knife. I'm going to show you my favorite grips with this. You have it like this, where you can just punch straight. You, of course, can put it on the center knuckle for that sort of punch so that it is perfectly straight down the wrist and down the forearm. I like it like this in reverse grip because it's really going to be difficult to lever that out of my hand. I have an edge coming and going, and I have a mechanical connection with the pinky. And if I make a tight fist, it's locked in there. So a lot of different ways to carry this knife, or to wield this knife. Carry wise, you could carry this upside down as a neck knife. For me, the handle is just a little bit too thick for that. So with this knife, this is one that just gets dropped in the pocket. It just sits at the bottom of the pocket. And it's kind of like a worry stone because it feels nice in hand. That TL Hansen and Son G Carta feels nice in hand. And it's just like a little jewel. It's like a little gem. But you can fully deploy it as well. You can get that finger all the way through there when it's in the sheath and draw the knife with it fully deployed without having to readjust your grip. That right there is the definition of a nasty little knife. All right, thanks for joining me on this journey down nasty little knife avenue. Tell me, do you like nasty little knives? Are you the kind of person, I was going to say guy, but I know we have gals here. Are you the type of person who carries a nice, capable folder, but you carry some nasty little thing on you just in case? I keep one on the back of my work ID, just a little tiny shard. I should have shown you that from Fred Parent. It's a cool little sharp thing. Tell me if you like them. I sure do. All right, be sure to subscribe so you can get yourself a Pinkerton knife when we get to 50,000. We'll be giving one of those away. And otherwise, thanks for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe. For Jim working his magic behind the switcher, I'm Bob DeMarco saying, until next time, don't take dull for an answer.
Thanks for listening to the Knife Junkie podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review at reviewthepodcast.com. For show notes for today's episode, additional resources, and to listen to past episodes, visit our website, TheKnifeJunkie.com. You can also watch our latest videos on YouTube at TheKnifeJunkie.com/YouTube.